Wife demanded to open our marriage while I was deployed, saying she couldn't control her urges while I was away. So I cut off her access to my $120,000 salary and filed for divorce. I, 37M, have been married to Sharon, 39F, for 6 years, known her for 10. I'm in the Marines, deployed 6 to 7 months every year as a logistics officer. Yeah, it's tough, but we both knew what we were getting into when we got married. My job pays really well. I make around $120,000 with all the benefits and combat pay, which lets us live pretty comfortably. We met through mutual friends at a barbecue back in 2014. Back then I was already in the Marines and she was teaching elementary school, making about $45,000 a year. She seemed different from other women I dated. She understood the military lifestyle since her dad was also in the service for 25 years. Plus, she was independent, had her own career, and didn't just want me for the benefits like some military wives I'd known. After dating for 4 years, we got married in a beautiful ceremony with all our friends and family there. Her dad, being a veteran himself, was especially proud to have another military man in the family. The first few years were great. She was supportive of my career, proud of my service, and we made the most of our time together when I was home. When I was deployed, she kept herself busy with teaching, her book club, and our friend group, lots of other military wives who understood what she was going through. We had a system that worked, weekly video dates, care packages, and she'd fly out to meet me at some ports when possible. I even bought her a nice 4-bedroom house in a good neighborhood near her school, got her a new car every few years, and made sure she had everything she needed. She always said she didn't mind the deployments because the time we had together was worth it, and she was proud to be a military wife. We talked about having kids eventually, but agreed to wait until I could get a desk job since she didn't want to raise them alone half the year. Life was fucking perfect until everything went to shit. Things started changing about 6 months ago, though I didn't see it at first. Sharon started going out more with a new group of friends from her yoga class, mostly single women or divorced moms from her school. She'd post pictures of their girls' nights at fancy restaurants and clubs, places we used to go together. I didn't think much of it then, figured she was just trying to stay busy while I was away. She also started caring more about her appearance, buying expensive clothes and getting her hair done every few weeks. Again, I thought maybe she was just treating herself with the money I was making. She even joined a gym with a personal trainer, saying she wanted to feel good about herself. Now looking back, all these changes were red flags I missed. We were having our regular date night over video call. I had just gotten back on the ship about 3 to 4 weeks ago. These video dates were our thing. We'd both get dressed up nice, have dinner and wine together even though we were apart. It helped keep us connected, you know? This particular night, I was having a great time, telling her about some funny shit that happened during training that day. Then out of nowhere she says I have something to say. Let's open our marriage. I thought I misheard her at first. The wine went down the wrong pipe and I started coughing. When I looked at the screen again, hoping to see her laughing at my reaction, she had this dead serious look on her face. I was still in a good mood from earlier, so I tried to joke it off. Okay, what's the punchline? What are you up to? I kept trying to make her crack a smile, but she wasn't having any of it. She got all pissy about my reaction and was like, "Are we done? Can we get back to serious talk?" That's when it hit me, holy shit, she actually meant it. I put my wine down and asked her what was up. She starts going off about how she's been thinking about this for a while and decided opening the marriage would be best for us. According to her, even though we'd been married 6 years, she felt like she was living a single life most of the time. She said it was practically impossible for any woman to control her urge for 6 months and she was tired of the cycle. She'd been dealing with deployments for over a decade counting our dating years, and claimed she'd forgotten what it was like to have sex whenever she wanted. Half her life was spent craving it apparently. The way she talked about our marriage, reducing it to just sex, made me feel sick. I couldn't wrap my head around what she was saying. After 10 years together, 6 of them married, she springs this on me? I took a deep breath and said, "Look, I get it's hard for you. I appreciate everything you do to keep us going, but this is what my job requires. The distance isn't something I can change right now. We've had talks about the deployment challenges before. Early in our marriage we even discussed me switching to a desk job, but the opportunities never lined up and honestly, I love what I do." Sharon knew that and seemed to support it, at least until now. She got all pissed off when I tried to have a rational discussion. I suggested we talk about it later when we're both calmer, but she insisted on settling it right then. She went off again about how fucking lonely she is, spending birthdays and anniversaries alone, going to doctor appointments by herself. She started crying while talking about all this. Look, I get it's tough, I miss plenty of important moments too. But what the hell am I supposed to do about it? This is literally what she signed up for when she married me. When we first got married, lots of people told us to have a kid to keep her occupied during deployments. But Sharon wasn't ready to be a single parent half the year, and I agreed dumping that responsibility on her wasn't fair. So we decided no kids until I got a desk job. Now I'm wondering if that decision made her loneliness worse, but still, opening the marriage? That's fucked up. I asked if she was breaking up with me. She goes, no, I love you. I can never leave you. I want to grow old with you, but I'm about to turn 40, and in a few more years, I'll hit menopause. I have so little time to enjoy my sexuality. Half of my golden years are going just waiting for you. I don't want that. I want to live a fulfilling life and not die with regret. Never in our relationship had she talked about sex like this. We always had a great physical connection when I was home. Sure, we used toys and video calls to stay intimate during deployments, but she never complained it wasn't enough. I could tell this conversation wasn't going anywhere good. She wasn't asking permission, she was telling me what she was going to do. What exactly do you want? I asked, even though I was scared to hear the answer. She looked right at me through the screen and said, I want to open this marriage and meet other men. I have needs and they need to be met. I'm doing this whether you like it or not. The woman I married, who promised to be faithful through everything, was sitting there telling me she was gonna fuck other guys and I couldn't do shit about it. I tried staying calm even though I wanted to punch something. So you want to sleep with other men while still being married to me? When she nodded, I asked how this would help with the loneliness she was complaining about. Would these random dudes take care of her when she's sick or celebrate her birthday? She said she didn't know if it would just be physical or if she'd date them, but whatever happened, she loved me and only me. They'd just be fillers while I was gone. When I'm home, she'd be all mine. Like I'm supposed to be okay sharing my wife half the year? Fuck that. I asked how long this was gonna last, a few years or forever? She hadn't decided. I asked if she'd already cheated on me. She snapped that if she wanted to cheat, she wouldn't be having this conversation. She thought being honest about wanting to fuck other guys was better than lying about it. Some twisted logic there. I asked if I had any say in this. She said her mind was made up, if she didn't do this, she'd go crazy. My head was pounding. I told her I needed time to think. She just hung up without saying goodbye. You know what makes this whole thing more fucked up? I just left home 3 to 4 weeks ago after spending 3 months together. Everything seemed perfect during my leave. We went to Hawaii for our second honeymoon, fixed up the house like she wanted, and even talked about finally trying for a baby next year. She was all lovey-dovey the whole time, constantly talking about our future together. The day I left, she was crying and making all these plans for my next leave. We'd even started putting money aside for our future kid. I was looking into positions at the local base to be home more. That's how serious we were about starting a family. When I asked the next day why she didn't bring any of this up while I was there, she said she didn't feel the need for other men when I was around. That's when it clicked, she probably met someone at her new gym or through those single friends. The timing was too convenient. Just before I left, she'd mentioned this new personal trainer at her gym who was so motivating and had been giving her extra attention. I didn't think anything of it then, but now. The way she was pushing for this right after I left, it felt planned. Part of me wanted to believe this was just about loneliness, but I'm not that naive. My buddy Mike went through something similar last year. His wife asked for an open marriage during his deployment, and it turned out she was already seeing someone. They're divorced now. I asked Sharon again if this was really what she wanted, if she'd thought about what it would do to us, to all our plans for the future. She said yes without hesitating, like those 3 months of planning our life together meant nothing. I decided to really push her on the details, not because I was considering it, but to understand her fucked up logic. I asked about the setup, could I see other women? How would we handle money? Her answer showed how selfish this whole thing was. She said she hadn't thought that far ahead. She just wanted someone for her needs while I was gone, but when I'm home it would be just us. She said I could try stuff during port days but wouldn't need other women when I'm home since she'd be there. According to her brilliant plan, we'd see how it goes and maybe close the marriage again once she was done exploring. I'd had enough. Look, this isn't what I signed up for. I wanted a monogamous marriage. But since you've made up your mind, I won't stop you. Just remember I'm not gonna sit here and take it. There will be consequences. She had the nerve to ask what I was gonna do about it. I calmly told her first, she'd need to handle her own expenses, no more money in our joint account. Second, we'd cut all communication. I don't want calls or texts while she's busy with her business. Third, I might start seeing other women too, with no rules from her. She fucking giggled and said she knew I'd come along, said she was excited and it would be fun. Then she went, I know you won't go too far. How can you leave such a ravishing beauty? And started taking her clothes off. I shut that shit down fast. My conditions start now. Have fun. Then I hung up. That was it, I stopped giving a fuck about her. She tried reaching out, but I ignored everything. She started posting these obvious date night photos and vacation pics without showing the guys. But come on, a hot tub selfie with rose petals, candles, and 2 wine glasses? Not hard to figure out what's going on. Her sister texted asking if I knew what Sharon was doing. I told her straight up, her sister opened the marriage without my consent because she's lonely between her legs. Sharon blew up my phone after that, but I couldn't care less. My next shore leave starts next week. Already got my brother looking for an apartment. Told him and my parents the whole story. Also hired a lawyer to start working on my case. I'm not rushing anything, want to do this right. Got plans to make her regret her choices. I'll update during my leave or after I get back. Thanks for reading if you made it this far. Update 1: I need to address something real quick before getting into what happened. People always seem to sympathize with military wives. Poor thing has to live alone even though she's married, or what about her needs? And shit like that. Then they look at me like I'm the bad guy for not understanding her situation. Yeah, everything they say about it being hard is true, but nobody forced her to marry me. She lives in our 4-bedroom house with a pool that she could never afford on a teacher's salary. She drives a new BMW I bought her last Christmas, carries Louis Vuitton bags, and wears a Cartier watch worth more than her monthly paycheck. Every summer, we vacation in Europe or the Caribbean. She gets her hair done at expensive salons, goes to yoga retreats, and never has to worry about bills. But funny how nobody mentions these perks when they're feeling sorry for her. She was living like a queen on my salary while complaining about being lonely. And let me tell you something, staying faithful isn't exactly easy for us either. We travel all over the world, stop at different ports, and get access to pretty much any luxury we want. At every port, there are gorgeous women throwing themselves at guys in uniform. Most of them don't care if you're married. My buddies joke that I could have a girlfriend in every country if I wanted. But I always stayed loyal because that's what marriage means to me. Some of us still choose to stay loyal to our wives. But nobody gives us credit for that. They just assume all military guys cheat. Now for what actually happened during my leave. I didn't go back to our house, couldn't stand the thought of being in the same bed where she probably had other guys. My brother had found me an apartment across town in one of those new luxury buildings. First few days I stayed with him and his family. My sister-in-law was furious when she heard what Sharon did. They used to be close friends. Took my niece and nephew camping for a weekend, something I'd been promising them forever. The kids kept asking where Aunt Sharon was, and it broke my heart having to make up excuses. Then spent some time with my parents in our hometown. Met up with old friends who all said they never trusted Sharon anyway. I posted everything on social media, not to be petty but to show her I wasn't sitting around miserable without her. My shore leave usually involves these high-profile military parties, real fancy events at 5-star hotels that Sharon always loved going to. Not everyone gets invited to these things, it's mostly senior officers and their wives, politicians, important people in town. These parties were a big deal for her social status. She loved showing off her expensive dresses and getting attention. I made sure to post plenty of pictures, including ones with female colleagues who are way more successful than her, doctors, lawyers, business owners. When people asked about Sharon, I just told them the truth. She wanted an open marriage to fuck around while I was deployed. Word spread fast in our circle, and suddenly all these military wives who used to kiss her ass started unfriending her. At first when she saw my family pictures online, she just texted asking where I was staying and why I wasn't home. Then she changed to okay, I'll give you space. I'll wait for you. Like she was doing me a favor. But when she saw the party pictures, she lost it. Started messaging about how I abandoned her and asking if we didn't agree to be normal when I was home. Then she started drunk texting at 2 a.m. about how much she missed our life together and how all these other guys meant nothing. I didn't respond to any of it. After months of silence, I finally replied, I never agreed to shit. You did what you wanted, now I'm doing what I want. She sent back some bullshit about waiting for me to come back when I'm done. Like I'm some kid acting out. She really thought she could just put our marriage on pause while she had her fun, then press play when she was done exploring. 4 months into my stay, she reached out wanting to discuss rules for our open marriage. Like we could sit down over coffee and make a schedule for when she gets to cheat. I shut that down quick, do whatever you want. I'm not playing this game. My lawyer advised me to keep records of all these messages, they'd help with the divorce. Then she saw me living my best life and suddenly emails saying let's go back to normal. I'm done with this. Like she could just flip a switch and fix everything. She wrote this long email about how she made a mistake, how none of these other guys made her feel the way I did, how she realized what she was losing. Said she'd do anything to save our marriage. I just sent back ha. That's it. And kept doing my thing. My mom, who hasn't spoken to Sharon since this happened, said it best, she didn't expect you to choose your dignity over her. Then one day she showed up at my apartment unannounced. I have no fucking clue who told her where I was living, I only gave my address to close family and a few trusted friends. Someone must have snitched, but honestly, I don't even want to know who it was at this point. I was getting ready to head out for a workout when I heard the knock. She looked completely different from when I left, lost weight, dyed her hair blonde, wearing this tight dress she would have never worn before. She looked nervous standing there, asking why I wasn't staying at our house. I told her straight up that I had no intention of living with someone who didn't respect our marriage. She didn't like that answer at all. I thought we could figure this out, she said, like we were dealing with some minor disagreement about what color to paint the kitchen. I just looked at her and said, you made your choice. Now I'm making mine. That's when she started crying, telling me how everyone in our social circle was giving her the cold shoulder. None of my friends' wives would talk to her anymore. These were women who used to be her closest friends, they'd go shopping together, have spa days, plan dinner parties. Now they wanted nothing to do with her. All those fancy parties she loved? Nobody was inviting her anymore. Turns out being known as the wife who opened her marriage while her husband was deployed isn't great for your social status. What do you want then? She asked through her tears. I just said you'll find out soon enough. She got this panicked look and asked, you met someone, right? You love her, don't you? Are you fucking her? I couldn't help but laugh, she was the one who wanted to see other people, but now she was jealous at the thought of me with someone else. She kept begging for answers but I'd had enough. I just yelled, get out. She left saying I'd regret betraying her trust, the fucking irony of that statement. My lawyer already had the divorce papers ready. I was planning to have her served once I was back at sea so she couldn't come crying to my apartment again. She wanted to open things up? Fine. I was about to open up divorce proceedings. The day I left the shore, my attorney got her served. She called me in a panic, screaming about how I betrayed her and left her broken, like she was the victim in all this. Then she called my lawyer saying she would fight the divorce till the end, she wouldn't let me go. Like she had any fucking choice in the matter. She tried playing the victim card with my parents too. Called them crying about how I blindsided her, how she never saw this coming. That backfired real quick, they already knew everything and told her exactly what they thought of her behavior. They blocked her number right after. Then her mom called me. Turns out Sharon had been telling everyone that we both agreed to open the marriage. She'd convinced her whole family that this was some mutual decision we made. Her mom said they thought it was weird but figured it was our personal choice. I shut that shit down real quick, no fucking way. I already told your other daughter the truth months ago. I was never on board with this filthy idea of hers. Her mom started going on about how Sharon's mental health was suffering because everyone had cut her off. All these fancy parties she used to love going to? Nobody invites her anymore. The other officers' wives won't speak to her. Her mom actually expected me to feel bad about this. I was like, why would my friends keep inviting her when she's not even my wife anymore? Is there any chance you could work things out? Her mom asked. I laughed and said not at all. I can't be the husband of a woman who has kept her legs open for tourists for the last 1 year. Who knows what kind of dirt has gone in there? Harsh maybe, but I wanted them to know exactly what I thought of their precious daughter's behavior. Her mom said Sharon wasn't ready for divorce. I told her straight up, the longer she fights this, the worse it'll be for her. I'm moving forward with my life whether she likes it or not, so she better cooperate for her own sake. Now my phone's blowing up with texts and voicemails from Sharon. She's begging, pleading, promising to change, saying she'll do anything to fix this. I haven't blocked her yet, maybe that's petty, but I want her to see exactly what she threw away. I'll block her eventually, but for now, I'm letting her suffer just like I did when she dropped her open marriage bullshit on me. Update 2. Here's the new update. I'm having my shore break again. Divorce proceedings are going on and Sharon has been pushing back hard against it, not because she wants to fix things, but because her perfect little plan is falling apart. The thing is, she's completely broke now. That shiny new world of freedom she wanted so badly? Turns out it wasn't as glamorous as she thought. All those guys she was going out with? They just wanted a fun time with a married woman, none of them stuck around once the money ran dry. She actually broke down crying in front of the magistrate, admitted opening the marriage was a mistake. Now she wants everything to go back to how it was, like she can just press rewind on the past year. After I cut off her access to our joint account, she burned through her savings trying to maintain her lifestyle. Within a year, she'd blown through everything. Her teacher's salary barely covers rent now, let alone the designer clothes she got used to. That's the thing about living large, once you get used to it, there's no going back. When she first opened up the marriage and I pulled my money, she thought it was just temporary. She figured she could coast on her savings until I came to my senses and started funding her lifestyle again. That was her brilliant plan, play faithful wife during my breaks, then go wild when I'm deployed. Well, that plan blew up in her face. She begs for another chance at every court hearing. Let's start fresh, she keeps saying. Easy for her to say, she's not the one who had to deal with the humiliation and trauma. You know what really gets me? She deliberately dropped this open marriage thing right when my deployment started, giving herself 6 whole months to do whatever she wanted before I got back. Those first months at sea were fucking awful. You're stuck out there with nothing but ocean around you, no distractions, just staring at the water and thinking about what's happening back home. Sometimes the dark thoughts get real bad. I can't even describe how hard it was to keep my shit together. Anyway, divorce is almost done, just one more court date. Asset division is settled, and it's fair even though she's not happy about it. I'm selling the house, can't stand the thought of keeping a place where she destroyed our marriage. She can't buy me out anyway since she can't afford half the price. Fine by me, I don't want to hold on to anything from that life. I actually love my new life. I'm doing better than ever. Met new people, got a solid routine going, feel free to live how I want. I'm not bitter about what happened, honestly grateful that I didn't let her choices mess up my future. Not looking to date right now, but I'm open to whatever comes along. I've blocked Sharon on all my social media, but she keeps making new accounts to stalk me. I spot them easily but I let her look, let her see exactly what she gave up. Her Instagram used to be nothing but fancy parties, exotic vacations, and beach pics. Now it's just sad quotes about regret and second chances. Guess that's what happens when you fuck up a good thing.